Session should be a fairly short session, this one. We're looking at adding text to your invoices, so a good time of year to maybe think about what sort of text do you want to include. It might be a festive message, but it can be used for a whole range of purposes. And what you learned today can be applied to other layouts within your software as well. So if it's a sales order, purchase order, remittance advice, credit note, invoice, customer statement, text can be added in exactly the same way. Now, just before we get stuck into today's webinar, we'll quickly run you through just a little bit of housekeeping, just so you know what to expect during the session. I'm sure many of you have attended a webinar before, but as usual, you don't need a microphone for these sessions. If you do have one and you've enabled it as you've joined today's session, you will find that it's muted automatically and you can't unmute yourself during the session today. So any questions or comments that you want to submit during the session, you'll need to do that via the questions panel. To access that, you just click the little speech bubble icon, which is on your toolbar down the right-hand side of your screen. You give it a click, it'll expand the panel, and you'll have access to that box in the bottom right-hand corner. So type your question or your comment in. Remember to click send, otherwise we won't get them, and I'll just try and react to them as they come through. It is just myself running the session with you all today, so do bear with me here and there. You never know, we might get a bit of an influx at some points. So do bear with me, I'll try and answer as many as I can though. If anyone wants a copy of today's handouts or a copy of today's slides, they are available to download during the session today. 2 copies, one is the full colour version of all of the slides that we use, and the other is what we term the print-friendly version. So those are available only to download during the session today. As usual, the session is being recorded, so if you want a bit of a recap when you're ready to maybe follow it through and try this, then the email will include a link to your recording. You'll get that around about an hour after we finish. That will also include a link so you can register for our other upcoming webinars, and also so you can access other recordings as well. So if it's your first sort of foray into dealing with the report designer in Sage, there's quite a few report designer sessions in there. So I think like adding logos, adding text, alignment, and loads of other more in-depth options as well. So do check those out via the recordings page. You'll get that round about an hour after you finish. Quite a short agenda for today though, so let's have a quick look. So a little bit of an introduction. Why would you add text, and maybe some ideas about what you would add as well, why you would use this option. I'll cover alternatives to that as well when we get stuck into the demonstration, because sometimes it might just be a one-off that you want to add. So a little bit of extra information on the maybe about an item that you've sold on an invoice or something along those lines. So we'll cover that as well. We'll be obviously running through demonstrations, and then just at the end of the session there, if there are any outstanding questions, I'll try and pick those up, but also give you an idea of maybe some of the upcoming support, some of the additional support that you've got as well. Right, let's get stuck in then. So let's start with a little bit of introduction. So why might you be thinking about adding text to your layouts? So we did advertise this as maybe adding a festive message, but there were some other examples given as well. So it's got loads of general uses. Now it might be as simple as you want to add some headings next to certain boxes on your invoice layout. It might be that you want to put that festive greeting at the bottom of your layout, so it gets picked up each and every time. You're not sat there typing it in. It might be contact information. Have a good look at your invoice. Is there any information missing, contact information wise? Do you have certain, let's say over the Christmas period, traditionally when certain businesses might shut down, do you have certain sort of opening times? Or there's certain contact, things like email addresses or certain phone numbers that you want your customers to use to query their accounts. It might be details of special offers going into the new year or services you offer. Maybe that's your customers generally aren't aware of. Including your bank details at the bottom as well can promote online payments. Maybe including your payment terms to help ensure that your customers know when to pay you by. Now, if you do include text on your layout, it will automatically be included when you email or print. And obviously, if you need to, because it might be seasonal text that you put on there, it's easy to amend or remove if required. So we're going to have a look at the basics of adding text. And then we'll just run through a few demonstrations at this point. Again, any questions that you might have, we'll try and pick those up as we go through. Let me share my screen and we'll get stuck in. All right, let's get into invoices and credits to start with. Now, if you haven't got any invoices entered so far, you will need to have at least one to be able to amend a layout. If you haven't got any entered so far, so let's say you've just started using Sage, you'll need to at least key one in. Now, it might just be a dummy one that you delete, as soon as you've amended your layout, but it needs to have one so that you can highlight something. Otherwise, what you'll find is that with nothing highlighted and nothing available to highlight, the print option at the top will be grayed out. But if we select something, doesn't really matter what it is at this stage, I'll click print because it's active now, and I can then go into the layouts and select the layout that I want to start amending. So I'm just going to pick on this one here. Again, if you've maybe already made amends to yourself, your own layout, sorry, just a case of you selecting it. And then we're going to go into edit at the top here. Now, some of you may have been on the recent report designer sessions. So this is something that we would have covered in session number 2 of the report design series. So looking at the basics of, I suppose, making those basic amends to your invoice layout. If you've never been in the report designer before, this is what it looks like when you edit a layout. So it can look pretty complicated. With layouts, we never really recommend that you design one yourself, certainly from scratch. Always best to find one that's closest to what you want design-wise, and then start making amends if required. If we just scroll down a little bit, you'll see sort of the main body here. I'll zoom in a bit as well so you can see that a bit more clearly. So you'll see at the top here, we've got what we term sort of the header sections. So at the top, what you'd expect to see at the top of an invoice. So your company name and address. You've got variables here for your customer's name and address. You've got basic details, invoice numbers, dates, customer order numbers, and also the account reference. You've got your column headings. And then if I do scroll down, you will find you've got your main body. And it's because of the design of this, what you may or may not want to be included. It can sometimes depend on the style of your invoice that you use as well. It's very complicated. So as I say, we never recommend that you start from scratch. Find the one that's close to what you want design-wise, and then if necessary, you can make amends from there. Scrolling down to the bottom of the design, you can see we've got what we term one of the footer sections. So traditionally in the footer section, you're going to have your totals. You've got a payment due date on this one. You may not on yours. We've got bank details on this one. Again, you might not on yours. And we've also got the delivery address, which again, you may or may not use. Now, whatever layout you've got, if let's say there's a gap, and let's say I did want to include a festive message first of all. So I'm just going to get rid of this section at the bottom first of all. I'll get rid of all these delivery address variables. Yeah, just in case, it may be a case you leave them on there, but you make a bit of space elsewhere. And then we've got this sort of area here where we can start typing in that festive message. Now, it can be as simple as just clicking add text. Now, if you do not have that toolbar displayed where it says add text, draw line, draw box, etc., you can just go via the toolbox menu and add text will be on here. If you're going to be doing quite a bit of it and you want that toolbar displayed and it's not currently, you would just right click on a blank part of the toolbar at the top and you're looking for toolbox basic, which as you can see mine is switched on at the moment, it's ticked. If I switch it off, it disappears. So in that case, if I want to switch it on, just right click on the toolbar at the top, switch on toolbox basic. We do have access to that add text option. So to start adding text, I'll just give it a click. And then if I move the mouse to approximately where I want to start typing, and then I can just click at that point. Let's just drag it across as well. I'll just drag that across so I can see it. And what we'll get is we'll get this box with essentially a flashing cursor in it. And at that point, I can start typing. So I'll just type hello for the time being. So it could be, you could just type it in there and then. If you've already got that type of message, what you could do, and I'm just going to copy this, I'll drag it across. I'm just going to copy this from a notepad document. It saves me typing it in. Just going to copy it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click back onto that. I'm going to delete what's there. And then I'm just going to paste that back in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to resize the box, just so it goes on properly. See if I can do that. And again, what I could do, if I was doing that, I could sort of obviously wrap text and things like that. But I'm sure you get the idea. Just make that a bit wider. Just going to wrap it down manually. You can if you want to. You can, as you start typing, it will wrap it automatically if you need it to. So that's how you add a bit of text. If I click off it, I'd be happy with that. Just leave it like that. I might think, well, actually, I want it to look like maybe some of the other text. So you can change fonts and colors and styles at the top to your heart's content, getting it exactly how you want it, even alignment. So I want it to sort of center the message a bit, maybe put it in bold. And then again, I can play around with it should I need to. So it could be as simple as that. Just drag it back into, sort of center it within that box there. Now, that's if it's fixed, the text that you want to include, it's a great way of doing that. It means every time you go to print an invoice or whatever layout you've added it to, when you print that document, it will include that information. So you're not having to type it in each and every time. Obviously, you've got that available via other methods, which we're going to come on to a little bit later on. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do the file save as. Remember, if you amend a default layout or report for that matter, you will need to give it a new file name. It will not let you overwrite a standard report or layout. So I'll just go out invoice. I'll just put message on the end as well, just so I can identify it quite easily. And I'll save it. So if I just close out of that, I'll find the one I'm after. So it's this one here. I can see the file name there. So I'm going to flag it as a favorite as well, just so I can find it a little bit easier. So it's this one. And if I highlight that, and let's just go to preview for the time being. See what that invoice looks like. Now, sometimes with this, it can be a little bit of trial and error, getting it to look, be in the right position, looking how you want it to look, sort of format-wise as well. So it can be a little bit of going back and forwards. But it's nice and easy to add text. Quite quick as well. Now, if I wanted to change that text, so let's say we've got past the sort of festive period, we're into 2026, and we think, actually, we don't need that text now, or we want to change it to something else. We want to leave the text on there, but actually we'll use it for maybe a little bit of marketing purposes. So again, just highlight your layout, click edit. Just let that load. So it'll open our layout. And we just go back down to the bottom where we inserted that text a moment ago. And if we wanted to change it, let's say we're quite happy with the positioning, we just double click it. So we might have made a typo, we spot that, we might want to amend it. But we've got that flashing cursor in that box and we can make whatever changes we want at that point. Just delete what's there. It's entirely up to you. So coming into the new year, you might start thinking, well, actually, we've got rid of the festive message. Let's start promoting some maybe new product range that we have. So you can type details of that in. Again, every time you generate an invoice, you've got that extra message on there. It might just be as simple as everyone at our company would like to thank you for your custom type thing. Again, it's up to you what you want to include on there, pretty much endless. We see some good uses of adding text onto invoices. I've certainly seen it where people have put, the thought about it at the top, maybe put a bar across here, coloured bar maybe, and in there they just list the types of services that they offer. Again, it's very sort of unconscious that it's there, almost subliminal in the background, just that message in the background. I can see this is what we offer. It's not just what's on the invoice. So have a good think about that, and also have a good look at your invoice. Is there any information missing? So by default, there's not a telephone number included. You can add that as text. It's pretty much static information that unlikely to change. Website information, opening, closing times. Bank details, obviously encouraging your customers to pay you online. Again, it could be as simple as typing that information in. Some of the layouts on up-to-date versions, some layouts will actually already have that information in there. So this one does. This has been added as a combination of text. So I've got the titles are text, and this information, it pulls it from, essentially we can see there from the relevant bank account, the bank account name, the number, and the sort code. If you haven't got that on there, well, I'll just remove that, what's there at the moment. You might just add that as text. So again, I've got some pre-typed text on my notepad documents, again to save me typing it in, and I'm just going to paste it in. Maybe not centering everything this time would be a better format. So I'll just align it across to the, I'll just realign it, sorry. Just highlight everything again. I think it's because, yeah, I was just going to say it's because I've copied and pasted it. So anyway, let's get rid of that one for the time being. Just click on it, delete it. So let's run through the process again. I'll show you how we can just quickly add that in. So again, I've clicked add text. I've clicked to roughly where I want to start typing. So let's do it at the bottom here. And I'm just going to type that in. So payments can be made online. Let's do one last one. So again, I've just typed that in there. Again, you might want to play around with the formatting. You might want it to look like other information in there. If you do want to, if you want to make sure it looks like, say, these titles here, what we can do, if we click onto one of them, one of the titles, it will give us what we term a style at the top. So we've got header 2 there. Now, if I just come back to this one, and I'll highlight it, and to make it look the same, I just need to reselect header 2 from the list. And it will now be the same font style, size, color, positioning, etc. as these headings here, just for that little bit of consistency. And all I need to do, I'll just resize the box a little bit. And again, that's it done. That will now be included on every invoice where I use this layout to either email it or print it. Now, there are help articles available as well. So I just bring up my browser. I'll pop into the help center. So sage.co.uk/help. It will take you to this page. We choose Sage 50 Accounts Desktop. And then if I just do add, let's say bank details, just search for that one. It'll give you some information here about how to add bank details text to your invoice layout. You might be thinking, well, actually, I want to add payment terms. Just search for it. First one it finds, Report Designer, how to add payment terms to your invoice layout. Now, there are a few different ways you can do that. Some payment terms will just be set terms for everyone. Others, it might be different per customer. So rather than just have it as text, you may want to insert that as an expression. But it's included no matter what. So you can get it to pull through things like the trading terms text from your customer record. So it might say payment terms, and then you've got this data field here that's going to pull that information from that specific customer's record. So there's a few different ways you can do that. It's information about including the payment due date. Again, you can copy these as well, so don't think that you have to type them in. It just gives you the information, and you could just highlight the text there. If that's what you're after, you can paste it into the relevant box as it guides you through that process. There's even a video there on how to do that process. So it can look a little bit complicated when you look at the likes of this expression. Yes, building it from scratch can be, but it doesn't have to be. You've got the information there, which it'll guide you through that step by step. Now that's adding it to your layout. So that's where you really want sort of almost like fixed information that's going to appear each and every time. There may be occasions, however, when you just want to add as a one-off a message to your invoice. It might be specific to delivery instructions, or might be like almost like a serial number of a particular item that you've sold, or special conditions relating to that item. So you do have that available as well. Let's pop back to Sage for a moment. We'll close out of our layout. I'll save the changes. If we go back to Sage, the other one, and Margaret mentioned this one at the beginning of the session, and it was to do with the special product code M. Now, if you've not come across special product codes before, it does add that little bit of flexibility to your invoices. So what we're referring to is when we're entering an invoice. So we'll just quickly choose a customer. This is when we're working through a product invoice. So let's just quickly add a couple of items. It doesn't really matter what they are. And let's say we now want to add a message. Now we've got a number of options. If we want it to appear in the main body of the invoice, we can click onto a line and we can just type M. Now M is what you would term an item line message. There's no quantity, no value associated with it. It's essentially just text. And it brings up this box when I tab out of that product code field. So it's asking me for a description, comment 1, comment 2. So it would appear on the main invoice just as a normal item, but it is text only. Again, if I like, might just be, I want to add a festive message on there. It might be something relating to that second product on the list there. So I can type something in there. I've got 3 lines where I can enter information. Now we can add as many of those as we want. If we think actually we should have added one to board 001, but just click onto that second line and press F7. F7 is used to insert a blank line. So then I can type M again. Do an item line message for that one. So we can add as many item line messages as we want. And again, they will just appear in the main body of the invoice when we print it out or email it. Additionally, if we drill down on our item line, so let's say the description, well, actually we'll get rid of those M lines for the time being. I'm just going to F8 to get rid of them. But this first item, let's say I've got some additional information that I want to include for that one. I just click on to edit the item line. So I did that by just clicking on the little arrow to the right-hand side of the description. It brings up the edit item line. So again, I've got comment boxes, comment 1, comment 2. I can include additional information in there. Again, you would have the same information if you're entering credit notes, sales orders, purchase orders. We can add additional text in there. We might think about using other fields where it's a one-off as well. So on the order tab, We've got a delivery address here, but there's been nothing to stop us just typing something into that box. You might use it, you might not. So I could type some information in there. We've got some notes in there as well. You've got 3 lines in the notes field. Looks like you've got more, but you are restricted to 3 lines. Now for the notes to print out automatically, they would need to be included on your invoice layout. They're not on there by default. Same for custom fields. If you're typing something in there, it's not going to show that by default. So you just need to amend your invoice layout if you wanted to include the analysis fields, just to pull that information through from the invoice when you go to print it or email it. So things like that, where you've got the delivery address, you find the variables by default would be automatically be included on your invoice layout. In the details, using M lines, other special codes as well, by incidentally, you've got S1. If you've got a one-off item, if I just type S1, brings up the edit item line. So maybe it's a one-off product that you're selling or a one-off service that you're providing. I can type in the description, add a quantity and a unit price there and then. Now S1 by default would pick up your standard tax code, T1. You've also got S2 as well. It's another one. S2, if I type that in, it will pick up your exactly the same information, but it does pick up your 0 rated tax code by default, so T0 by default. And then if anyone is on the professional level of Sage 50 accounts or client manager, you'll have this as well. You'll also have S3 available to you as well, which is essentially it's a one-off service item that you might want to include. So if you do a bit of mixing and matching with regard to your invoice items, then you've got that option available. So I hope that makes sense. If you want to find out more about what we term the special product codes, so S1, S2, and M are available to everyone. S3 is available to anyone that's on the professional level. So you've almost got that mix and match capability on your invoice then. And again, that would transpose across to things like your credit notes, sales orders, purchase orders, if you've got those options as well. Close out of that for the time being. So hopefully that's maybe given you a little bit of food for thought. Margaret, I'll look into your original question about getting rid of the 0 values. I'll just double check with a colleague and I'll drop you a quick email after the webinar once I've got an answer to you on that one. Diana, you mentioned about there, are you able to change the color of certain text based on if it's a credit note or an invoice? Yeah, you could do conditional formatting, but again, that would need to be done as part of an expression. Again, you should find information on that one within our help center. I'll see if I can find a link for you, and I'll make sure see if I can email that out to you as well. So we'll drop you a message after the webinar. Any additional questions for me at all? If you do think of any afterwards, get in touch with our support team. They can try and point you in the right direction as well. Again, if you want a copy of today's slides, not much information on there because it is more sort of demo based, this one. Then do take the opportunity if you want those slides to download them while you're on. The recording will be included on the follow-up email. You'll receive that in around about an hour's time. And it will also include those links so you can register for our upcoming webinars. Next week, we've got what we term our International Accounting Day webinar series. So just to celebrate that really famous day, we'll be running a series of webinars where you can earn a digital badge for attending 3 out of the 4 sessions plus one of the quiz sessions. You'll find more about it on our registration page. So covering some slightly different topics on that one. Something that you might have never come across. So we'll be covering things like bank feeds. We're covering Sage Connect. We'll be looking at Copilot, specifically the payment reminders feature, which is still fairly new. It's added in 32.1, and also the AI document capture facility. So We're looking at some of those connected services that you've got available to you if you run an up-to-date version. If you are interested, get yourself onto the registration page and get yourself registered for those. Help Centre, great source of information. So obviously we just looked at that and we saw it was easy to find the articles on how to add your bank details or how to add your payment terms, a few different options for those. You'll find loads of knowledge base articles, support guides, there's videos in there, there's information about free training, and also if you do get stuck and you need that little bit of extra help, how you can get in touch with our support team. Webinar wise, if you are interested in coming along, obviously the links are included on your follow-up email, but easy to remember, just head along to sage.co.uk/webinars. You can get registered for both Sage 50 accounts and Sage 50 payroll webinars. I think the timetable for Sage 50 accounts currently runs up to including all of the sessions that we're running throughout December. And that includes as well as International Accounting Day webinar series, we've also got a corrections webinar series as well. So we're looking at corrections to customers and suppliers, correcting journals, correcting bank transactions, and also the impact that those have on your VAT return. So if you are interested, do get yourself signed up for those. Right, that does bring me to the end of today's session. If you do think of any additional questions, do get in touch, either contact our support team or you could reply to any of the webinar emails and it will come to our webinar mailbox. I do have the 2 outstanding questions, but I will reply to those individually via email. If you can take a minute to complete the survey, that should pop up as you leave the session today. That'd be great. Let us know what you thought. Is it what you expected? What would you like to see more of going forward? What areas of the program do you possibly struggle with or just want to learn more about? Let us know. That follow-up email containing the link to the recording, the registration page, and all webinar recordings for those links, that'll be with you in around about an hour's time. Right, we'll end the webinar just at that point. Many thanks for coming along. Hope you have enjoyed it. Do let us know via the survey though, how you found it, and hopefully we'll see you on some other sessions next week. Many thanks.